The house was loud in that forced, holiday way. Too much food. Too many voices. Laughter that felt practiced. I was carrying a tray back to the kitchen when I heard my dad lower his voice. "After New Year's," he said. My mom answered fast. Before she changes her mind. I stopped walking. They were standing near the pantry door, backs half turned. My brother Evan was there too, smiling, relaxed. My sister-in-law Rachel nodded like this was already settled. Dad continued. "The condo's perfect, big enough for the kids, and she won't say no." My mom laughed quietly. "She never does." That's when I heard the number. 500,000 easy. Evan said. "No rent, no rush. We'll just move in." Rachel added. "It's basically ours until we get back on our feet." They all smiled. I looked down at the tray in my hands so no one would see my face. They were talking about my condo. The one in my name. The one I paid for alone. No one had asked me. No one planned to. My mom leaned in closer. "She'll find out after the holidays. No need to stress her now." Dad nodded. "We'll announce it once the movers are booked." Booked. I went back to the table and smiled, because they weren't planning to ask. They were already moving in, and they had no idea the condo wouldn't exist by the time they packed. The rest of dinner moved fast. Too fast. My mom clinked her glass and announced dessert. Evan stood up to help her, already acting like a man with plans. Rachel pulled out her phone and started showing photos. Boxes. Cribs. A school nearby. "Once we're in," she said, loud enough for the table, "everything gets easier." My dad nodded. "We'll start moving things the second week of January." Second week. There it was. A date. Evan laughed. "Perfect timing. We'll be settled before work picks up." My mom glanced at me. Not to ask. To check. I smiled and passed the pie. That smile did damage. Rachel leaned closer to Evan and whispered, "She's taking this really well." He whispered back, "She always does." After dinner, coats came out. Goodbyes. Hugs. My mom squeezed my arm. "You don't need to worry about anything," she said. "We've handled it." Handled. Evan clapped my dad on the back. "Thanks for convincing her." Convincing. When the door finally closed, my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Just so you know, we gave notice on our place today." Notice. I stood alone in the quiet house, staring at the screen. They hadn't just planned it. They'd already acted. And now there was a clock running that only one of us actually controlled. By Monday morning, the clock was public. At 8:04 a.m., Evan sent a group text. "Movers booked for the 12th. A truck emoji. A smiley face. My mom replied first. "Good. I'll start organizing keys." Keys. Rachel followed with, "We're telling the kids tonight." They're so excited. Excited was the wrong word. Committed was the right one. I said nothing. At 9:30, my dad called. Not to ask, to instruct. "We'll need you to clear out the second bedroom," he said. "The kids will need space." I let him keep talking. He explained furniture placement, parking passes, HOA rules he didn't understand. He ended with, "This is best for everyone." At 10:15, the condo association emailed me. Subject line, "Move in request pending approval." Rachel had submitted it herself. Names, dates, occupants. 4 people. 0 owners. I forwarded the email to my attorney. At 11:02, she replied with one line. "They can't move into something that's under contract." Under contract. That phrase mattered. At noon, Evan texted again. "Hey, quick thing. Can you forward the utility info?" At 12:07, Rachel sent photos of boxes stacked by their door. At 12:19, my mom sent a thumbs up emoji. No one waited for me. At 12:31, my attorney called. "The buyer wants to close fast," she said. 48 hours. Cash. I looked at the calendar. January 12th was 9 days away. I said yes. And while my family was planning where to put their couch, someone else was wiring money to buy the floor out from under them. They just didn't know it yet. Things unraveled quickly after that. At 2:03 p.m., Evan called, breathing hard, excited. "Did you get the HOA email?" he asked. "We're almost official." I said nothing. At 3:10, Rachel posted in the family chat a photo of the kids sitting in front of labeled boxes. New beginnings written across the top. My mom replied with heart emojis. At 4:27, my attorney sent the purchase agreement. Signed, stamped, dated. The buyer had waived inspection, waived contingencies, no delays. At 5, the escrow company confirmed receipt of funds. Not pending. Received. At 5:18, my dad texted me directly. HOA says they need owner confirmation. Owner. I waited until 5:32 to reply. "I'll handle it," I wrote. That seemed to calm them. Too calm. At 6:01, Evans sent another message. "Can you send the move-in approval tonight? Movers need it." At 6:14, my mom wrote, "Don't drag this out. Everyone's counting on you." Counting. At 6:47, my attorney emailed again. "Recording scheduled for tomorrow morning." Once recorded, it couldn't be undone. I looked at the family chat lighting up. Plans stacking on plans. They thought momentum protected them. They didn't realize momentum works both ways. And by the time they noticed, the silence from me felt different. The condo was already leaving my name. Tuesday morning started with panic. Not from me. At 8:11 a.m., Evan called 3 times in a row. I didn't answer. At 8:19, my mom left a voicemail. Her voice was tight. "The HOA says there's an issue," she said. "Call me." At 8:27, Rachel texted, "Did something get delayed?" Delayed. At 9:02, the escrow company emailed me. "Recording complete." Those words didn't feel dramatic. They felt final. At 9:14, Evan called again. This time, I answered. "What did you do?" he asked. No greeting. No patience. "I sold it," I said. Silence. Then, "That's not funny." "I know," I replied. My mom took the phone from him. I could hear it happen. "You can't do that," she said. Her voice had lost its softness. "I already did," I said. She started talking fast. About family. About promises I never made. About how the kids were already packed. At 9:26, Rachel started crying in the background. Not quietly. At 9:30, my attorney texted me one line. "Funds dispersed." I listened while my mom kept talking, explaining how this could still be fixed. I waited until she stopped. "There's a new owner," I said. "They take possession Friday." Friday. That was 2 days away. The call went dead after that. And for the first time since the holidays, the silence wasn't mine. It was theirs. By noon, the calls turned frantic. Evan left voicemails this time. Long ones. He said the movers were on the way. He said the kids were home from school early. He said Rachel was not handling this well. At 12:18, my mom texted, "Please answer. This is a mistake." Mistake. At 12:42, the buyer's agent emailed me. They'd requested early access for measurements. They were bringing a contractor. I forwarded it to my family chat. No comment. Just the email. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then Evan typed, "Who is this?" At 1:07, my dad called. His voice was different. Not angry. Afraid. "They're saying we can't move in," he said. "The HOA won't release keys." I let the silence stretch. "Because you don't own it," I said. At 1:19, Rachel sent a photo. The moving truck parked outside their place. Caption, "What are we supposed to do?" At 1:31, my mom called again. I answered. "You humiliated us," she said. Her voice shook. "No," I replied. "You assumed." She started crying then. Loud. Uncontrolled. At 1:58, my attorney texted, "Buyer requests no contact from third parties." I looked at the family chat lighting up. Plans collapsing in real time. They had packed their lives into a place that no longer existed for them. And the worst part? The new owner was already on the way to change the locks. By mid-afternoon, the tone changed again. No more demands. Just bargaining. Rachel sent a long message about the kids, how they told their friends, how the boxes were already labeled for each room. Evan followed with, "Just give us 6 months. We'll pay something. Something." At 3:22, my mom tried a new angle. She texted, "You did this on purpose." I didn't deny it. At 3:40, the buyer's contractor emailed me photos, measuring tape across the living room, notes written on the walls. Demo starts Monday. Monday. That was 4 days away. At 4:05, my dad called again. He didn't yell this time. "Where are they supposed to go?" he asked. I answered honestly, "I don't know." That answer scared him more than anger would have. At 4:18, Rachel posted in the family chat again, a photo of the kids sitting on the floor between boxes. No caption. My mom replied with a broken heart emoji. I said nothing. At 4:41, Evan finally typed, "We trusted you." I read it twice, because trust is what people call it when they take without asking. At 5:02, my attorney called. Her voice was calm. "The buyer wants confirmation," she said, "that no one else has access to the unit." I looked at the family chat still exploding on my screen. "Confirm it," I said, and as she did, I knew the next call I got wouldn't be from my family. It would be from someone standing at the condo door with keys that no longer worked. The call came at 6:11 p.m. It was Evan. I could hear it before he spoke. The echo, the open space. "They changed the locks," he said. His voice cracked. In the background, I heard Rachel yelling at someone. Not me. "They won't let us in," Evan said. "The kids are crying." I didn't interrupt. He kept talking, faster now. "They say there's a new owner." They showed paperwork. At 6:18, my mom joined the call. Her voice came through sharp and brittle. "You can't do this," she said. "This is cruel." At that exact moment, my phone buzzed. A notification from escrow. Sale complete. No further action required. I let her keep talking. She explained holidays, family, how embarrassed they were standing there with a truck. I waited until she ran out of words. "I didn't invite you to live there," I said. "I didn't give you keys. I didn't promise anything." She started to argue. I ended the call. At 6:27, Rachel sent a photo. The moving truck pulling away. No caption. At 6:34, my dad texted one sentence. "This didn't have to happen." I looked at it for a long time, because it hadn't. If they'd asked, if they'd waited, if they'd remembered whose name was on the deed. Instead, they'd packed a life into a place they never owned. And now they were standing in a parking lot, watching the only plan they had drive away without them. After that, the calls didn't stop. They changed. Evan stopped asking. Rachel stopped crying. My parents started explaining. My mom sent long messages about misunderstandings, about how everyone assumed I'd be reasonable, about how selling it without notice was extreme. At 8:02 p.m., the HOA emailed the family group chat by mistake. Someone had forwarded the wrong address. "Welcome our new owner. Keys issued." My dad replied all before he realized, then deleted it. Too late. At 8:19, Evan called again. This time, quieter. "Can you at least help us find somewhere temporary?" Temporary? The same word they'd used about my condo. I didn't answer. At 9:07, Rachel posted in the family chat. A hotel room. 2 beds. Boxes stacked against the wall. My mom reacted with crying emojis. My dad typed, erased, typed again. I watched without responding. At 9:41, my attorney forwarded one last message from the buyer. They'd met the neighbors. They were excited to start renovations. Renovations meant walls coming down, layouts changing, no going back. At 10:13, Evan sent one final text. "We never thought you'd actually do it." That was the sentence that mattered, because it proved everything. They hadn't miscalculated the market. They hadn't misunderstood the paperwork, they'd misjudged me. And once that mistake was made, everything else had already been set in motion. By the end of the week, the story settled. Not peacefully, just permanently. Evan stopped calling. Rachel stopped posting. My parents stopped pretending this was a misunderstanding. The condo listing disappeared from my records, replaced by a wire confirmation. A closed file. No appeals. No reversals. My mom sent one last message. Short this time. You chose money over family. I didn't reply, because that wasn't what happened. I chose clarity over assumption, boundaries over entitlement. They had planned a life inside something that wasn't theirs. They packed boxes, booked trucks, celebrated early, all without asking. I didn't rush. I didn't warn them. I didn't argue. I let the system do what systems always do when ownership is tested. It answers with documents. I still think about that holiday dinner sometimes. The smiles, the certainty. They thought silence meant agreement. They were wrong. Silence was just me stepping out of the way while consequences walked in. And when the missed calls finally stopped, the lesson stayed. If someone is celebrating your property before you've said yes, they've already forgotten who actually owns it. Top of form, bottom of form.